Boards. Board games, board games, it's what I'm talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off my morning with a little bit of singing. And today I'm talking about Smugglers. This is a game for 4 players by Klaus and Benjamin Teuber, neither of whom is, to my knowledge, a smuggler. It's a game about fitting your balls into holes. That's what you do to get off the dole in this crazy world that they have concocted. This is a crazy game. It's going to be instructed by me in a few minutes. Board games, that's what I'm talking about. Board games, I'm not going to shout. Hello! Good morning, everyone. And I hope that you've had a decent, what day is it again? It's Thursday? Yeah, I can see it's on my computer, it's Thursday. Oof, that's lockdown for you. But yeah, I hope that you've had a good Wednesday. I hope that you've got a good start to your morning. I am Bez. This is approximately breakfast time, and I am going to be blethering about board games. Namely, I am going to be doing a rambling review of Smugglers. Smugglers is a game by Klaus and Benjamin Teuber. Klaus Teuber, better known for Settlers of Catan by Kosmos. It's got intelligent putty in it. It's all about fitting your balls into holes. That is about hiding things inside your balls and then fitting your balls into holes. That is what it is. You can read the banner down there. Now, as always, I do want to quickly say, if you are watching, then I always appreciate little comments, especially if they're, just nice, pleasant comments like this. Good morning, Alan. It's lovely to have you as always. If you are watching and you can think of, one or maybe 2 other people who might enjoy it, please feel free to share the links. Share it on your social media or, invite a friend or whatever. And if you're watching this, then please feel free to give it a thumb, like, follow, all that good stuff. Oh, hello, Valkyrie Dina. It's lovely to see you as well. Now, before I get really stuck into all the things of Smugglers, I want to talk about brilliant things. Brilliant things. Here's a little thing that is brilliant. I would like to talk about wood. Now, there is a downside of wood, like, wood for boxes, wood for, wooden planks, wood for scaffolding and everything. Obviously, we are taking out the trees and cutting them down, and we need to make sure that all of this is done in a sustainable way. But wood, compared to plastic, I just want to acknowledge that it's very environmentally friendly to make things out of wood. And it feels nice. Whether it's the paper or whether it's, we talked about how good QE smells. Yeah, this game doesn't smell, it's not the naked wood. This game just smells like a standard game, unless you get into the intelligent putty, which I'll talk about. But wood, yeah, great things. And thank you very much, Valkyrie Dina, that's lovely to know. Now, talking about recent highlights, listening to things and seeing the sides. Highlights. What have been some of your recent highlights? Let me know. As for me, yeah, yesterday was a bit of a dull day, if I'm being honest, after the live stream, which was lovely having so many of you on here. That was probably my recent highlight for yesterday. I have done a lot of cutting out of stickers and packing stuff. I think I cut out literally I don't know, maybe 2,000 stickers, something along those lines. So yeah, about 200 times 16, whatever that is. Yeah, I cut out and packed almost that many stickers. Still got 16, and then I'll have finished. Yeah, because my poly bags come in packs of 200, and as I told you yesterday, my to-do list, I was hoping to get it all packaged up, all ready to send today. I haven't quite managed to get it packaged up, but I have managed to cut out and quite a lot of things, and I have been watching a few things. I've been watching Dave Gorman. I've been watching, you know, talks from the GDC, other talks on YouTube, just things that I can listen to and have on in the background, and that's been really nice. And Alan Alton says that there are too many bland-smelling games. That potentially agree with you, but actually, I don't know. Like, you are sorts of. It's like, what senses should a game stimulate? Next, you're going to tell me that games should be stimulating your sense of taste. I mean, okay, for sure, games have gotten to the stage where they're not only stimulating your mind, but are stimulating your physical hands. And like here, you've got this like intelligent putty, you can play with it, you can do things with it. And I'm just going to run ahead and say, what does this game smell like? Let's take out one of the little eggs that has the intelligent putty in it, and it smells of nothing much, but it does have such joy in the tactile components. It's got joy in visual sense, but also sometimes it's worth thinking about games from an audio sense. Like, what noise does it make when you put the game down? What noise does it make when you snap the intelligent putty apart? These are all parts of the joy. But yeah, I don't think you need to delve into taste or smell. Oh, wow. Volkrai Dina says, as long as no nasty smelling glue is used and wooden components, I'm good. But Queen Domino smells terrible. Had to leave it out for 3 days. Games are very much like food. Anyway, so yeah, recent highlights was just doing a lot of cutting. Have you had any recent highlights? Let me know. And have you been playing any games recently? Let me know. I have not played any games yesterday. I was due to play some Pandemic Legacy Season 2, which was called off. Cole and Chris weren't feeling up to it, like, emotionally. Mina wasn't sure, and I was like, you know what, this cutting out of stickers is taking a lot longer than I thought it would, so we're delaying it until Sunday. But I did play a few turns of games of Crazy Farmers, Ponte del Diablos. Still quite impressed by Crazy Farmers, Ponte del Diablos. As I continue further into the game, there's more and more strategies to uncover, and some of them are with Alan Oughton. Oh, and King Domino. So not Queen Domino. I mean, that's interesting, because I think that sometimes you get an expansion and it's like, okay, we've got this expansion. There's no point in playing the earlier version. But, sometimes you just want that simplicity. Sometimes you want to go back to basics. Anyway, so going back to Smugglers. Smugglers is a game by Klaus Teuber and Benjamin Teuber. According to the English version, it says a game of smuggling sweet and sour treats. I'm going to share my screen quickly so we can talk about a few more things. So if we look at the pictures, on the German version, you can see it says mit intelligenter Knete, with intelligent putty. So it's more of a selling point. That's the components there from the official line. Sneaky smuggling game, which is clearly some sort of early prototype, I guess. Quite often these pictures that get sent up on Board Game Geek by the publishers, and this was image provided by the publisher. That suggests to me that this was an early edition, an early tagline that they decided to change for the game of smuggling sweets and sour treats. And there's someone enjoying it. And there are more people enjoying it. And this gives you an idea of what it's all about. So, but I don't have to show you all that because I've got the box right here. So, Klaus Teuber basically realized that they could live off the profits of Catan and their children could live off the profits of Catan, and then they were basically set. If you look at what Benjamin Teuber has done, so Benjamin Teuber is Klaus Teuber's son. Their first game in 2012 was Catan Scenarios. They've done some special Catan things. They had a brief stint, 2015 to 2017. Tumult Royale, I've got that game. It's all right. Smugglers, I like that a little bit more just because it's doing something quite unique. Mag, not played it. And then there's a whole bunch of other Catan games and scenarios. And that's what Benjamin Teuber has been doing for the past so many years. Benjamin Teuber basically continues. It's the family business. Catan, Settlers of Catan is basically a family business at this point, and the whole family partakes in making scenarios and stuff for it. And this is a game that I first played it, just to talk about my biases. I first played it, I believe there was a Teams and Kosmos representative at Leslie Singleton's industry meetup. And I was like, oh, this is weird. You're shoving balls through holes. The game is basically about getting your balls through holes. So, like, the image is basically how big a sack can you get through the hole. There's some really weird fiction in there that I'll get into, but it doesn't make any sense. It's basically about hiding things in your balls and then putting your balls into holes. That is the game, literally. And you know, I played it with, I played it there. I bought it later on, somewhat because it was reduced by the works. It was down to a tenner. Going back to BGG, I think we can see that it's available apparently now. The going price is 15 quid, which I think is a very reasonable price. If you, after this, you think that, yeah, that's something I'd like, then go for it. $34, that seems a bit much for me. I mean, it's a light party game. It's a novelty game. It's a game that I want to bust out every like maybe once or twice a year. I kind of, and then we laugh about it and we have a good time. We play it a couple of times. Now, yeah, so Smugglers, that's what's going on. It's by Kosmos. I played it a few times. It's by 2 to 4 players. I've only played it 3 and 4 players. I guess I might give it to go 2 players. Maybe Mina would like it. If you're watching this, Mina, then please let me know. Hey, Mina. It's ages 8+. I would totally agree with that. There's a lot of randomness. There's a lot of frivolity. The rules aren't too complex, although they might bend your brain in some ways. Plays about 30 minutes. I would agree with that. Now, Kosmos have this thing of what aspects are in this game. So they say they've got somewhat luck, somewhat manual dexterity, a Schadenfreude. That is an amazing thing to say on the back of the box, that this game is all about Schadenfreude. Apparently 4 out of 5 for Schadenfreude. I don't know if it's got that much Schadenfreude, to be honest. I mean, the only Schadenfreude we'll get into this is the purple smoke bombs. I would give this game, I mean, I'm going to give this game personally, if I had to rate it, I would say, yeah, sure, the manual dexterity, bluffing, sure, the bluffing, it's more like guessing than bluffing, if I'm being honest. Okay, bluffing is 3 out of 5, luck is 3 out of 5, Schadenfreude is 3 out of 5, visual perception, I would say, is another one that this game is teaching if you want to talk about what it's good for. Contents, there's some crazy things. Rolling track with a trading fence, game board, privacy screens, balance scale, pieces of intelligent modeling putty, hourglass, dice, smuggle tokens, contraband. What's the... Oh yeah, that's the thing that you put inside your balls. smuggler boss, and a rule booklet. And this is a ridiculous ridiculous story, okay? I'm just going to read out a parts of it. Who's the best at getting the goods? Potato Charlie's infamous band of smugglers is recruiting new members. To win the coveted spot in the gang, you must prove you are the sneakiest and most adept smuggler in the smuggling contest. Show Big Boss Charlie what you're made of. Grab your smuggling sack and hide your contraband inside. Make a run down the hill and through the hole in the fence. Be sure you cram as much stuff in your sack as possible, but be careful not to make it too big, or you'll get stuck in the fence. And then, yeah, this does not make any sense for me with the mechanics. It's really weird. Oh, let me see. I found out yesterday that I can get my mobile phone to be part of this stream. So, but I think for now, just doing this is fine. So we've got rulebook. The rulebook is it's fine. It's 8 pages. Wait, is it? Oh yeah, it says 8 pages. I was flabbergasted for a moment. I thought I could only feel 6. So it's 8 pages, but you've got a big picture on the front. You've got a comic here which tells you this ridiculous story. There's lots of pictures. There's lots of important notes that remind you not to put the putty near fabric or stuff. There's little comics which are quite nice. You can, and then on the back, it's again got the components, and it's got a little bit about Benjamin and Klaus Teuber. You've got the board. This is the board. You've got this balancing scale. Now, the way you've got to set up this balancing scale is you put the stick through the seesaw thing. There we go. Ooh. And then we get it around here until it will balance. And there we go. Finally, balanced the balancing scale. Yay. We've got these player screens, which, yeah, do their job. You've got the hourglass, which counts some amount of time. You've got a D6, a six-sided die upon which the 5 and 6 are red. I'll get into that. These things, this thing upon which you roll down your balls. So literally, you are rolling your balls into holes. I'm not joking. And it goes like that. Is that? Yep, that is the way. And then you've got the little boss, and the boss shows which bits you've got to roll a ball down. And you've got a whole bunch of yellow treats. I've put them into bags. A whole bunch of red treats, and everyone gets one of these. So everyone gets 3 little gems and some intelligent putty. There is no red. You only get green, orange, yellow, and magenta. So let's look at this bright pink magenta, and I will show you a little bit about what the game how the game works. So quickly, I rolled a die. I got a 2, and then this little person moves along 1, 2, and then everyone has to make a ball of putty that will fit through this hole. Now I'm going to be like, oh, that's a really small thing. I need to hide a gem inside it, and I need to do this all while the timer is running out. And I want, if my bits of putty, oof, that was ridiculous. I took off too much putty. So I need to cover my gem. I need to make sure that no one sees my gem. I need to smuggle it. But I need to make sure it goes through the hole. Oh my goodness, I'm a bit stressed. This is like the smallest hole. You don't always get this in a game. Oh, but I need to cover the... Okay, I think I'm going to push my luck a little bit more. I tend to go a bit small with these ones, so I'm going to go a little bit bigger, and I will see how I get on. And okay, now maybe the time's up. once the time's up, you're not allowed to add or remove any more putty. You just put your putty on the top of the hill and you, whoops, not like that, like that. So if it goes through the hole, then great. If it doesn't go through the hole, so let's say I'd been a bit of an innie and I'd made a really big ball, and it's like, yeah, that's clearly not going through the hole, then sucks to be you. Everyone makes their own little ball. So someone might have made a ball like this, hoping to really push their luck and be like, whoa, come on, get through there. Oh, it's just a little bit too big. Someone else made a smaller one. Let's say someone did like that, and it went through the hole. Let's say, okay, so now what happens is we all move to the board, and the people who go through the hole, you put them on these seats. The people who don't make it through the hole get onto these things. If there were multiple people, and this is the nature of intelligent putty, by the way, just so you see, intelligent putty, it's quite a weird thing where if you stretch it slowly, it does that, but if you break it apart, then it kind of snaps. It's a really weird thing, and it's really cool. Anyway, so the final bits in each round is that, let's say this one actually made it through the hole. Then even though this one made the hole, it was like too small, so they should have pushed their luck a little bit more. Anyone who doesn't make it through the hole goes here automatically. The biggest people who make it through the hole, so you want to have the biggest balls that can get in the hole, go here, and then one at a time they guess, and this person might say, oh, I guess you've got a red thing inside, and the person might say, aha, I don't have a red thing inside, I've got a yellow thing inside, so I get to keep my thing. And then this person might say, okay, I think you've got a purple thing inside, and they might say, I don't have a purple thing inside, I've got a red thing inside. So, and then if you guess wrongly, then the whole shoving your balls through holes is completely superfluous. So the shoving your balls through the holes is basically just to make sure that you keep your bits. And then these people open up their things and say, yep, I had a red gem, and because I had a red gem, then I get to take one of these red little treats. If you, along the course of the game, you can either get a certain number of one. By the default, it is 7 of one or 5 of both. And either way, you win the game. And so by smuggling a red gem, you might be getting a red thing, as long as you aren't guessed correctly. By smuggling a yellow gem, you will get a yellow tile, as long as you aren't guessed correctly. Finally, by smuggling a purple gem, if you are guessed correctly, then the other person gets a tile that you would have gotten. In the case of a purple gem, if you are guessed out correctly, they get a thing of their choice. But if you manage to smuggle a purple gem without people guessing it, then you get to steal one from anyone. And so that purple thing's just a little bit of a wild card. You can only use the purple thing once per game. And that is fundamentally what the game is all about. And just for a bit of fun, I'm going to stand this up to show you how intelligent putty, it kind of melts very slowly, as you're going to see. So now let's look at the comments. Yeah, it is definitely silly fun. It has a very subtle fragrance. It smells, it smells of mildly of chemicals. It smells actually quite fragrant. It smells kind of vaguely, maybe like a really, really weak room freshener. There's not so much sense at all. Does the scenario always work as an insert? What do you mean by the scenario? I assume that that's a typo or something. Okay. Anyway, so this whole game, and you can see the intelligent putty melting here because that is the nature of intelligent putty. This whole game is basically about the guessing. It is a ridiculous and silly game. Oh, um, this is the way the inserts works, by the way, just so you know. Um, yep. No, you just kind of the way the game works is you just put this in here. So and then you pop this. So it's all fits reasonably nicely. And then all the eggs go here. It's reasonably well laid out. Now, I would, yeah, hopefully I've answered that question. Now, I want to talk about games that do something different. I know of no other game that is about trying to make big balls and fit them through holes. I mean, when you say it, in some ways, it sounds a bit, what are you talking about? But yes, this game is literally about just rolling balls. There's a little bit of push your luck as you try to make the biggest balls that fit through the holes, but it's not like it's not as if that is the only thing that the game is testing. There's a little bit more going on here, because even if your ball doesn't fit through the hole, well, you're all right, as long as you aren't guessed. And even if you're too small, well, you're all right, as long as you aren't guessed. And so there's two aspects to it. And you can, I would say, do well at this game by being good at either aspect. One aspect is clearly the what is the biggest ball you can make that will fit through a hole. Now, I just can't get over how ridiculous this is. I mean, seriously, what is the biggest, when you've got the little, hey, where's the little boss person gone? Oh, there they are. So let's say my boss person was here, and what's the biggest ball that can fit through this hole? Okay, now, normally we're sitting a little bit further apart, I'm eyeing that up, and I'm thinking, okay, well, this is probably a bit too big, I don't know. Oh yeah, yes, Alan, the weighing scales are for if you're not sure whose was smaller, because the smaller one goes down. Yeah, I didn't get into that, but yeah, and the little player screens are for hiding your gems behind. And I look at this and I'm like, okay, this ball looks a bit bigger than that. I don't know. I'm tense. I'm feeling okay. Maybe I take a bit off, and just don't know. We talk about Mordem Arosa, a game where you're kind of dropping down cubes and listening to where it goes, and they take a tiny bit off because every little bit matters. And there's no other games that's about dropping cubes and listening to where things have appeared. There's only one game I know of which is about how shadows fall, and there's only one game I know of that's about shoving balls through holes. But clearly people are not as infatuated with the novelty as I am. Let's see if I... Oh! Okay, so apparently we discovered last time that we played that actually if you make it into a little bit of a cylinder, it can work really nicely. So let's see if I can cheat my way through by making it a cylinder. Oof. Could it have gone through? It could have, but it just didn't roll quite right. So that would be a fail. So I failed that part of the test because I was too big. I get O here, but it doesn't really matter. There is a lot of forgiveness in this game. There's a lot of sorts of, how can I put this? There's a lot in this game that doesn't feel like it matters. If you play this game wanting the maximum amount of tension, wanting success or failure to lie on each decision, to be like, oh, I managed to get through this hole, I got this many points. I mean, frankly, I almost feel like I would be interested in a more pure version of this game, which is just shove your balls through the holes, and yeah, like the biggest person through let's imagine a fictional version which is the biggest person through gets 5 points. The second biggest gets 2, then 1, then 0. And 0 if you don't get through the hole at all. Or maybe it's just, yeah, the bigger... So something like that, where it's like the tension of, okay, I want to be the biggest. I want to make my thing that little bit bigger. In this game, if you are too big, if you are way too small, well, you can play it safe, hoping everyone else gets stuck. And you will be disappointed when other people don't get stuck, because there's that little bit of schadenfreude that it talks about. It's actually, now I think about it, maybe there is a decent amount of schadenfreude, because you're hoping that other people get stuck. You're hoping that other people, if they get through, they played it safer than you. It's all about outperforming on these little skill tests of how big can you make the ball. Now, if you mess up, as I'm saying, it doesn't matter too much, because even if you end up here because you were too small or you didn't get through, you still get your red gem or yellow gem or purple steely gem. The only time that you don't get to, and I put, for the record, a purple steely gem. So unless someone actually guessed that I had a purple steely gem, then being too big doesn't matter to me. It's this is one of the most forgiving games ever. And let's talk about the red numbers. The red numbers, when there's a red number, you don't know where this little person will end up. When there's a red number, everyone makes their balls, secretly, and you go, okay, haha, I'm making a little ball. I don't know where it's going to end up. So now, after everyone's made their balls, we roll again. So it could be here, here, here. It could be a tiny thing. It could be the biggest thing. You can never be the same thing twice. So then we roll again, and it's a 3, 1, 2, 3, and hopefully, yep, that gets through very easily. But maybe someone else was a bit more daring. Maybe someone else made a bigger ball and it got through, because that's, I think that is actually, yeah, that is literally the biggest hole by a smidgen. So, do I feel the guessing of gem color is a bit wasted? Wasted in what way? Because everything is meaningful, I would say. I mean, there's the notion of how much tension you have versus, I guess, how much and impact something has, and the more tension and the more triumph you can give something, probably the more bad feelings it's going to give you. Now, I'd like to talk about oh, I see that James K is angry. That's weird. I hope you're right there. But hi, James. Good to see you. So, let's talk about Fiero. So, Fiero is one of those emotions in games that was made by Nicole something or other, which is basically the fist pumping emotion. It's the emotion where you feel like, yeah, I managed to do it. That moment of triumph. There is not a significant... The biggest moments of Fiero is in the guessing. Hey, James. So the biggest moments of when you manage to get through the hole, it's like, oh, now I might be guessed. Now I might be scuppered. Now there's a little bit of increasing tension. And then someone guesses, okay, with the guess, there is a little bit of info to go on. Because, as I said at the start, you can win with 7 of one, or 7 of the other, or 5 of both. So let's say I have 6 of one and 6 of one and 3 of the other. So if I have 6 of these, am I going to go for another yellow because that will win me the game? Or will I go for a red and hope to win the game in 2 turns just to bluff you? Will I take a purple if I still have it? So there is a little bit of mind games, and We played it, 4 of us on Monday. One of us was just a real wild card, playing crazy, playing, just out there, being really unpredictable, and they managed to do well with that. I managed to win my first game by basically playing it safe and always making it through the hole. Either of these things will shield you from being guessed out, because fundamentally, the nature of the game is that every turn you're going to get something. Every turn you're likely to get your yellow. Every turn you're your red or play your purple, because if you are in the top if you are in the top half, boom, you definitely get it. If they guessed you wrong, hey, you definitely get it. And then there's a moment of triumph. But still, it's low stakes, it's low tension, and it's low fiero. So I would absolutely agree with Valkyrie Dina. It is very child friendly. Now, it the whole game, it doesn't really make any thematic sense to me. It's like this really weird comic of what smugglers, and then you shove your sack of potatoes through the hole in the fence, and then apparently, hey, now you need to play the inspection game. This game is ridiculous. I mean, I feel like I've pretty much said all I can say about this game, and now I'm just. But yeah, Klaus Teuber seems to, they gave Benjamin Teuber is very much the privileged person, thanks to their dad, are going to be able to get more games signed up. This is a game that clearly didn't do so well, because I saw it's at the works for a tenner. I think that why did it not do so well? Basically, I'm going to say because it's hard to kind of explain. What is this? Shoving balls through holes, but if your ball gets stuck, well, it doesn't matter so much because you might still not get guessed, and it makes sense once you've played the first game. I mean, we played it twice, and there is a shorter version of the game as well that says, if you want to familiarize yourself with the game a little faster, you play the shorts game. Also, the shorts game, it works nicely for, hey, maybe you've played it once, maybe you want to play it again, but people don't want to last too long. And then the short game is 5 of one or 4 of each. And that is the X of 1 or X minus 1 or 2 of both. That works nicely because it's plays into the whole bluffing and guessing. That is as much bluffing as you might get. It's basically, yeah, but you can say, okay, I'm just going to skip the bluffing. So this is a game, as I say, you've got 2 aspects: guesswork, bluffing, and shoving balls through holes. Can be good at one, good at the other, and if you're good at either, you will probably win the game. But if you are shoving your balls through holes the best, you actually get to guess other people's, and that is the way to win, because you might not only get your own stuff, but you might steal their stuff as well. Let's look at what people on BGG have said. It is 5.7, which I think is unfair. I feel like, yeah, BGG, remember that there's this is where people are all about the strategic games. No, if you look at the score breakdown, there are a small number of people who, I don't tend to rate games anymore, but any questions? Because otherwise, I think that I should talk about, let's talk about the notion of short games. Let's talk about the notion of having variance inside a game. Let's talk about the notion of saying, hey, if you've not played this game before, have a few practice shots, roll a few balls, and get it through the things. It's saying that, yeah, if you. I think that there's a responsibility for a designer to make the best, um, to make the best, to make the best experience for a specific type of people. I think it's the responsibility of a designer to make a game, to say, hey, this is what the game's all about, and then get it to people. I think it's the responsibility of a designer to not be like, oh, here's 50 different ways you can play, here's this option and that other option. And I'm not saying that they did this. They didn't do this. They said, hey, here's one way to play, this is the way to play, but if you want a shorter version, that's it. And there's kind of let's call it a balance to be struck between being adaptable and being something that fits within the lives of your players, and yeah, I think that you've got it exactly right in the comments. I've not played it with 2, but I imagine it being marginally more tense of getting your balls through the holes. Yeah, and I will say, yeah, probably that's quite an interesting point. I would say it's a good family game. I mean, I play lots of times when there's 4 people in a household. If there's 4 of you in a household, I think that I would love to play this with my family. But having said that, when I'm over, if I were ever to visit my sibling in Germany, true story, there would be 5 of us at least. There'd be my sibling, their partner, their 2 kids, and myself. And so, yeah, 5 of us. We can't play this unless Olaf doesn't play, because Olaf sometimes doesn't play. But that's just sad. I mean, yeah, and what was the RRP? It kind of feels like if this was, I can understand why the game feels a bit too lightweight and a bit too frivolous, because when you pay 30-40 quid for something, you want to feel like you're getting a bit of a meatier experience, something that you can play over and over and over. But with this, it's more of a okay, we're going to have a bit of fun, we'll pull it out and then we'll take it away. You know what, this is a fun game, this is a unique game, and why is it that in our mind a party game feels like a game that should have a cap on how much it costs? And that's like maybe why this game didn't do so well, because the people who are playing party games are the kind of people who want to maybe pay more like 10-20 quid. And with a party game, it's like, oh yeah, 20 quid, that seems fairly reasonable. Oh, 35, I'm not too sure about that. And why is that? Because like this intelligent putty, that's expensive stuff. And this putty is amazing. I mean, seriously, you can't, oh. So like this putty is, like it makes a good snapping noise, and that's like so therapeutic. And then, oh, I should just do this more often, just get this putty out. Oh my god, oh yeah. Man, this, oh yeah. Yeah. And then just snapping it, kind of, it's a stress relief. You don't get to, if you have a cloth on your table, this is not a good game, because yeah, the putty sticks to cloth, so you've got to play it on a naked wood or glass or whatever kind of naked table you have, I would recommend. Make sure to never get it on the carpet, otherwise it will be scuppered. It does actually warn you about that quite a bit in the rules. Now, yeah, I think that it's partially probably due to the cost of it. because like this putty is probably very expensive. I have to say this is not the best putty I've ever felt. The best putty I felt was at Nuremberg, and they gave. I asked for a sample, and they only got me. Yeah, they were giving out samples. This was at Nuremberg. Oh, check that's what happens if you don't do it quickly enough. Whoa. So, yeah, intelligent putty. So yeah, break the game. Find a way to make it work with 5. Sure, I think that you could easily do that. Just say that the top 2 still go into the top thing. Maybe you have a third chair on the board, because all that you need to say is that the top few people get to guess the bottom few people. And maybe the top, I would put, if for 5 players, I would probably put 3 chairs here and keep a bunch of barrels here. For 6, I would probably do 3 chairs here. So for 5 players, the third person, if there's 3 people, isn't going to get to guess, because these 2 will already have guessed one of the 2 people, but the third person will at least be immune, which would be quite fun. And so, yeah, it could totally win with with 5 or more, now I think about it. Yeah, I kind of actually, you're right. Now in retrospect, I would be interested to, try it with, if I'd thought about this, I would have probably, if it were still available for a tenner, I would definitely get another copy just to try it out. I might actually get another copy for 15 quid just to, try it out at a birthday or something, because then the 6 of us can play it all together. Yeah. So, struggling to consider buying 1 copy, and I can consider getting this very mucky. Yep, it could definitely get very mucky. And no, Klaus Teuber is probably never going to make an expansion purely because it didn't sell well enough. It is, as far as I know, out of print. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know if any representatives of Thames and Kosmos are in the audience. You never know. I did tag them when I said that I'd be making this review. So, I say what I want, but please do correct me if I get anything factually wrong. So I imagine that this game is probably out of print. I imagine it didn't sell very well, which is why I saw it at the works for a tenner. And I imagine that due to that, there will never ever be a expansion, because that's the way the game industry works. Okay, so yeah, and it's like fun. This is what you can do with intelligent putty, and the components are fun. Let's talk about that. I want to let's talk about the bounciness. I don't want to bounce it too much because I'm a bit scared of. What? It's a little bit bouncy. If you have a smaller ball, it's quite more bouncy. The seesaw, it works well enough. It's a really cheap way of having a scale for comparison, and if it's ever too close to call, you can do it both sides just to make sure that the scale is not favouring one side over the other. I love the fact that they've got these plastic kegs. This is really nice to kind of get your putty into and to do that. For setup, this is me personally, I would always put them into little plastic bags with the free coins. Yeah, the timer's fine. I've not actually timed it to how exact it is. Like normally one side's a little faster than the other. It doesn't really matter. This is a game where you need to make sure that you don't see each other's things. The player screens are functional. I mean, if you were to play with 8 players, theoretically, then you would probably, yeah, struggle to hide everything. So maybe you have to end up putting it underneath, like in your pockets or something. So, we've got to request for a little mini game. So let's say I was rolling a ball down a hill. Okay, so this is the fundament. I'm going to do you one better than that, Alan. I'm going to let you interactively make a ball for this. So we're going to aim to get it through this hole, okay? Yep, this big hole. Now, do you want more or less putty? I think I'm going to... So I'm going for the big one. Where's my little... I lost my little... Oh, yeah, there they are. There's a little boss. So much more. Okay. More or less? More or less or the same amount? Going through here. You cannot only hide one item. You can only hide one gem in your ball. I mean, come on. Although that would be quite cool. Then that would be actually a bit more interesting. Push your luck. If you had a game in which you had little balls inside your ball. Alan Outson says more. Okay. So, getting through here. More, less, or... Yep. More or less. So we can't get it too close, but you can sort of see, hopefully. More? James K says 1 milligram more. Okay. So is everyone happy with that? Okay, so we're going to squish it through and see if we've been successful. No, that was too much. We get to re-roll it one more time to smooth it off and try to re-roll it. Let's do the cylindrical trick. It probably could fit through if I just turn it into a cylinder and pinch it a little bit. Okay, let's see if it works. Oh. One more time, one last time. It's already failed. Yep, it's just not going through. It's just not going through. I think with that much less, then it could go into a ball, and I would actually go for a bit less if it were me personally. But it's not just about the mass. It's not just about the exact amount of stuff. Yes, that was exactly right. So this was how much extra you had. Okay, so yeah, it's fun to push your luck. It's fun. The central activity is nice, and it's a well-made game. I'm going to hypothesize that the reason it didn't, fundamentally, the reason any game isn't a success. Oh, I think I might have left the yellow thing in here. The reason any game isn't a success is because people don't want to pay the money for it. That's fundamentally what it comes down to. It's and that can depend on many things. Like, people might be more willing to pay money for something that feels a little bit more complex or meaty. People in the board game space are probably going to be willing to pay, in the hobby game space, are probably going to be willing to pay more than something in the casual party game space. There's a reason that, Monopoly can get literally cheap travel editions for a tenner, and whereas hobby games, they normally don't well, obviously that's also down to the economies of scale once there. But yeah, it's all about marketing, and I think that that's very correct. That's this is a crazy game like nothing else, and there's a lot of joy to be had here. And but for me, let's be honest, I am kind of, I don't want to say blasé, but or jaded, although that's kind of what I'm getting at. I've played hundreds of thousands of games, and I no, it. I don't think it did. Honestly, like if you, yeah, I don't think it did do well anywhere. Again, they could get back to me, and I think that just looking at Board Game Geek, seeing the fact that okay, there's a good number of ratings. Okay, fine, it's a Klaus Teuber game. There is actually a decent number of. It's not like it's sunk without a trace. There's a good amount of goings on, and there's a good amount of people talking about it. But literally, the last thing in the forums was from 4 years ago, apparently, which is that. Oh no, that can't be right, is it? Whoops, that's the fans also like. Yeah, in the forums, yeah, it's literally the last discussion of it was 3 years ago, so it kind of has sunk a little bit. That's just the way it is, and I think it is difficult to market. It's difficult to market something as unique as this. For me, when I've seen so many strategy games, so I want something novel. I probably value novelty more than a casual gamer, because I'm like, whoa, a game where you're using string and making it into trains. Oh my god, I really want to play this. Or, oh wow, a game where you're fitting balls into holes. That I've never seen anything like that. And this game comes down to how excited you are with novelty. And it's not about staying power as such. Like, I've had this game a while, and I've continued to play it. I've continued to enjoy it with Chris and McCall, and because, like, yeah, I really enjoy this game. And even though Dawdles and Smugglers are not as well renowned, I feel like they are really strong offerings from a certain point of view. I just probably not as strong as Catan, the market would suggest. And clearly there was a serious cost for this intelligent putty. And clearly, ultimately, the market said the price for this game with this intelligent putty is not enough. And yes, BGG is absolutely a niche site. I will agree. And I do want to point out, if I go to Yogi, which well, to be fair, wow, this is crazy. My game's got more ratings than 300 ratings. Wow. Oh my god, I'm excited. I don't think it had 300 ratings last time I looked. That's exciting. But yeah, BGG is a niche site. But I do still think that, and so you will get fewer people rating a party game like this or Yogi or whatever. Thank you very much. I'm really chuffed with that. Oh, shut. But anyway, so, but yeah, it's fundamentally, if you like this. Do you like the notion of making balls and guessing whether it could go for the hole or not? You got a little taste of that with the live stream. And thank you, Aquasilis, thank you, Valkyrie and Alan Alton. I think that I should start closing up. It is already 11. And I guess to let me talk about what I'm looking forward to. I am looking forward to getting stuff done. I'm looking forward to having been to the post office and having sent everything if I can. My daily hope ambition is to do that, same as yesterday. And if I have time after I've been to the post office, I will do a bit of drawing of letters. And let me know what you're looking forward to. Let me know what your daily hope or ambition is. Yeah, Chrysalis is, yeah, there's, I'm just going to say it's about 0.2, a bit less than 0.2% is the number. But that 0.2%, it does still give you an indication of the reach of a game. For example, even if we look up something that people on BGG probably hate, like Uno, it does have 19,000 ratings. Because yes, maybe this is 0.2 or 0.1%, maybe it sold 19 million copies. That would not be unreasonable in my mind, but you get an indication. It's a very, very vague indication. It's probably the closest thing we have publicly. Anyway, so that is that. Oh, so Alan Alton is looking forward to joining my 8 p.m. live stream later. Thank you very much. I need to talk about my next stream. Oh yeah, I should do that. So my next stream is going to be tonight at 8 p.m.-ish. I think I put it down for 8:05. We're going to try to start at 8 o'clock and start playing the games by around 8:10. But I'm trying to spend the next couple of weeks starting at 8. Tonight we are playing Say Anything, which is a nice little game from North Star Games, Dominic Crapuchet, Satish Pella and Lamari. And then we're finishing off with a quick bit of Micro Muckle. And we've got a wonderful guest, Tessa Scott, who is a blogger and unpublished board game designer from America. And so that is what I'm doing next. I'm also coming tomorrow, and tomorrow, I don't know if you're still in the comments, Elaine, but tomorrow is a developer who's joining me. It is going to be Dan from Spiral Galaxy. And Spiral Galaxy is one of the, I'm going to say there's arguably 3 distributors in the board game hobby industry. So there are Green Board Games Company, Estevium, and Coiled Spring, all owned by Asmodee, which is why you could consider them one. And then you've got VR Distribution, who are now the distributors for Yogi. So if you're a shop, look them up. If you're a punter, well, none of this really matters to you. But then you've also got Spiral Galaxy. So this is a bit of a peek behind the scenes. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Dan, and we're going to talk about why distributors matter, about the history of Spiral Galaxy, and maybe touch upon what publishers need to do for making things better for distribution. That's going to be interesting. I'm actually really looking forward to talking with them because it's going to be me learning stuff as well. Oh, thank you. And yeah, that's hopefully something that Elaine will tune in for, because yeah, I did it especially for, well, I did it for myself, but you inspired it, Elaine. Okay. And then as a wrap up, to recap, I like this game. I like it. I'm going to keep this copy. I'm even considering buying a second copy just so I can play with more players and maybe making myself a custom board. Yeah, that's genuinely. Maybe you would put 2 boards side by side. Maybe I'd kind of try to get Chris to do some Photoshop and like maybe laminate a new board. Maybe it's A4 scale. Maybe it's like the size of the box. Because yeah, anyway, I think there could be some interesting house ruling going on to make this even bigger. And yeah, it's quite fun. I like it. You probably know whether you'll like it. if you are living in the UK, then it seems like it's available at a really nice price. And as always, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Alan Oughton. Thank you, Aquasulus. Thank you, Volcaridina. Thank you, James. It's lovely to see you all. Thank you, Elaine, for popping in. It is really lovely, as always, to have you all. And if you have enjoyed this, please do follow me and like it and all that stuff and share the word. And you can also follow me on stuffbybez.com, twitter.com/stuffbybez, instagram.com/stuffbybez, twitch.tv/stuffbybez, facebook.com/thingsbybez. I need to sort that out apparently, or stuffbybez@gmail.com. And that is the end. I have been Bez. Thank you. And bye bye, bye bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye bye, bye bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye bye, bye bye. This is the end of the show. Bye bye, bye bye. And now it's time to go. Bye bye, bye bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye bye, bye bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye bye, bye bye. This is the end of the show. Bye bye, bye bye. And now it's time to go.